Namaskar. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all ready to dive into a topic that impacts every corner of our lives, whether we realize it or not. Together, we'll explore how understanding risk can empower us to create a safer, a stronger communities. Let us start. To start with, let us try to know about what are disasters. Disasters are sudden, unexpected events that severely disrupt the daily functioning of a community, society, or the ecosystem. These events lead to extensive human, economic, and environmental losses, often overwhelming local resources and requiring external intervention for recovery. Now, let us try to understand the nature of disasters. Disasters arise from natural phenomena like earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, or from human activities such as industrial accidents, nuclear explosions, chemical spillage, and pollution. Severity of a disaster often depends on a combination of hazard itself and the vulnerability of the affected population or the system. What are the key points to remember here? Number one, disasters are complex events. It has both immediate consequences and long-term impact. Number two, it highlights the need for a proactive approach to reduce the risk and to build resilience. Now, let us come to understand what are the characteristics of disasters. Number one is suddenness. Many disasters strike with little or no warning, leaving minimal time for preparation. For example, include earthquakes, flash floods, and industrial explosions. Widespread impact. Disasters often affect large geographical regions and diverse populations, intensifying the challenge of providing adequate relief and recovery. Number three, complexity. Many disasters trigger cascading effects such as landslides following heavy rainfall or industrial accidents causing chemical contamination. Number four, need for external assistance. Effective response requires collaboration among local, national, and international agencies to manage resources, logistics, and relief efforts. Now, let us try to focus on disaster impacts, how it is going to impact the life and the society, human life. Direct impacts include loss of life, injuries, displacement of affected population. Indirect impacts such as long-term psychological trauma, social instability often persist long after the disasters. Economic consequences. Disasters damage infrastructure, disrupt businesses, and halt agricultural activities, leading to significant financial losses. Recovery and rebuilding efforts place additional strain on local and national economies. And the third impact is environmental impact. Ecosystems suffer due to habitat destruction, biodiversity loss, and long-term denigration of natural resources. Then what is the takeaway from this discussion? The takeaway is a holistic approach to maintain disaster impacts is essential, addressing human, economic, environmental needs simultaneously. Let us move to the next topic, concept of risks. We have to define the risk. Risk refers to the likelihood of an adverse event occurring and its potential consequences encompassing hazards, vulnerabilities, and exposure. It serves as foundation for disaster management strategies. There is a formula, risk equal to hazard multiplied by vulnerability multiplied by exposure, meaning thereby risk is a direct function of hazard, vulnerability, exposure. More is the hazard, more is the risk. Then what is the takeaway? Risk assessment provides critical insights for prioritizing resources allocation and implementing effective disaster mitigation. Probability in disaster risk. High probability events. Certain hazards like seasonal floods, cyclones, and annual monsoons have recurring patterns, making them predictable to an extent. This predictability allows for strategic anticipation and planning. These events require robust investment in early warning system, including weather monitoring technology and public alert system, enabling timely evacuation and safety measures. Community preparedness becomes critical and involves regular drills, public awareness campaigns, and ensuring emergency supplies are readily available to mitigate impact effectively. Second category of probability. Probability may be low, but impact value is high. Rare events such as tsunamis, volcanic eruption, or industrial catastrophe occur infrequently, but the cause catastrophic damage when they do happen. Proactive measures such as seismic resistant building, tsunami warning systems, and well funded contingency plans are essential to manage these risks. Planning also involves specialized training for responders, developing evacuation routes, and ensuring shelter availability to minimize potential devastation. Then what is the takeaway from this discussion? Understanding the probability of hazards allows for efficient resource allocation, ensuring proportionate preparedness and mitigation efforts. Now let us discuss what is consequential risk management. Severity of disaster impact depends not just on hazard but also on vulnerability and preparedness of affected communities. Impacts may include loss of life, significant economic disruption, or environmental damage like deforestation and water contamination, requiring targeted intervention to mitigate such outcomes. Identifying vulnerable groups ensures prioritized protection and inclusion in disaster management plans. Now let us discuss some examples like urban flooding. Urban flooding often causes displacement, destruction of property, and disruption of services like power and healthcare, amplifying its effects on densely populated areas. Sustainable urban planning, such as incorporating green infrastructure like rain gardens and resilient drainage system, is critical in mitigating these risks. Educating communities about flood risk and evacuation protocols ensures timely, effective responses during emergencies. Then what is the takeaway? Takeaway is addressing both event likelihood and impact severity ensures a balanced disaster management strategy. Next topic to discuss is risk assessment. It is a comprehensive process. It systematically identifies hazards, evaluates vulnerability, and determines exposure to prioritize risk reduction measures effectively. Tools like hazard maps, historical disaster data, and community vulnerability surveys provide a detailed understanding of risk. The process informs critical measures such as strengthening infrastructure, relocating vulnerable population, or implementing stringent building regulations. The takeaway from this discussion is risk assessment forms the foundation of disaster risk management. By delivering evidence-based strategies that enhance resilience. Now let us come to vulnerable assessment. We need to understand various types of vulnerability. Number one is physical vulnerability. This considers the quality and location of the infrastructure. For example, poorly constructed buildings in seismic zones are at higher risk. Social vulnerability. This examines socio-economic conditions such as poverty, literacy, and healthcare access, which influences a community's ability to cope with the disasters. The third is economic vulnerability. This assesses reliance on high risk sectors like agriculture in drought prone areas or tourism in hurricane prone regions. Environmental vulnerability is the fourth one. This evaluates ecosystem health, focusing on issues like deforestation, which increases flood risk, or degraded wetlands that fail to act as natural barriers. Let us discuss one example. Vulnerable housing in flood plains highlight the necessity of implementing zoning regulations and improving construction standards. What is the takeaway from this discussion? Reducing vulnerability is the key to minimizing disaster impacts and enhancing community resilience, emphasizing the need for a holistic approach. Next topic to discuss, exposure analysis. It identifies at risk populations such as urban dwellers in flood zone area or coastal communities prone to cyclones. Examines exposure of critical infrastructure like hospitals, schools, power plants, which are vital for recovery and continuing during disasters. Assesses the vulnerability of natural resources including forest, water bodies which can compound risk when damaged. For example, coastal cities like Mumbai or New Orleans face significant exposure to cyclones and sea level rise due to high population density and vital infrastructure along coastlines. Then what is the takeaway? Takeaway is exposure analysis allows planners to identify priorities, risk, and they prioritize the risk mitigation measures such as relocating essential services away from flood prone areas. Now let us come to comprehensive risk assessment. It is an integrated approach. It combines hazard identification, vulnerability assessment and exposure. All three are combined into a unified framework, providing a clear understanding of overall risk levels. It encourages interdisciplinary collaboration among geologists, urban planners, economists, sociologists or robust planning. The benefit of this ensures that resources are allocated to most critical areas such as reinforcing vulnerable infrastructure or improving early warning systems. What is the takeaway? Takeaway is a comprehensive risk assessment is indispensable for developing long-term strategies that strengthens resilience and mitigate disaster impacts. Now let us come to discuss risk perception. It is very much helpful in designing risk management measures. Under risk perceptions, the factors influencing the risk perceptions are past experiences. Communities that have faced frequent floods or droughts often develop a heightened sense of awareness and preparedness. Number 2, cultural benefits. Traditions and beliefs shape how risks are understood and addressed. For instance, some cultures attribute disaster to divine punishment, affecting their readiness to adopt scientific measures. Access to information. Communities with better access to education and risk communication tools are more likely to perceive risk accurately and take proactive measures. Now, importance of risk perception. Aligning actual risk with public perception ensures that communities are taking timely and appropriate actions during disasters. Misaligned perceptions can lead to unnecessary panic. Then what is the takeaway of this discussion? Understanding and addressing diverse risk perceptions through targeted education and communication campaign is critical for fostering community-wide preparedness. Next area of discussion is risk communication. It bridges communication gap. It simplifies technical information about hazards and vulnerabilities, making it accessible to non-experts through visual aids, infographics and community meetings. It addresses misconceptions and cultural barriers by engaging trusted local heads and organizations to disseminate accurate information. Then what is the takeaway? Takeaway is transparent and inclusive risk communication ensures that communities are not only aware of the potential threats but are also equipped to respond effectively, reducing disaster impacts. When we are adding both together, perception and communication, then let us discuss what is the role of perception and communication together. Risk perception drives actions like preparing emergency kits and following evacuation orders. Effective communication bridges gaps, builds trust and promotes resilience. Number 3, effective communication aligns community perception with actual risk, fostering informed decision making during disasters. And fourth one is micro communication can lead to inaction or overreaction, underscoring the importance of delivering timely and accurate messages. Let us detail this and explain this by an example. India's improved cyclone warning system and widespread dissemination of evacuation protocols have saved thousands of lives, showcasing the transformative impact of clear communication on public safety. And what is the takeaway? Takeaway is empowering communities ensures their active participation in risk management, ultimately building more resilient society. Thank you friends. Everyone, I must thank you for your active participation in today's session. We have explored key aspects of disaster risk management. Number 1, understanding risk and its dependence on hazard, vulnerability, exposure. Number 2, the probability and consequences. And number 3, the proactive planning incorporating risk management measures. These insights highlight the importance of building resilience and preparedness to safeguard lives and livelihoods. I look forward to seeing you in the next session. Thank you. Namaskar.